Back to everyone that's tuned in to the American Ultras Talk channel. Thank you so much for being here. One more time, we're bringing to you guys now a preview that we're so happy to make because we made it out of group stage, unlike in Copa America. Now we have the United States going up against Morocco, a team that has some familiar faces that could have been on our side too. Let's just dive into a brief recap on how both teams have done so far, mostly focusing on the opponents. Braden, Morocco topped their group, which for some may be a blessing for us, but what do you think? Are they that dangerous? How do you see their tournament so far in terms of how they arrived to this game that basically guarantees us a medal if you make it through?
Well, there was no need to bring up the Copa. I think. Come on, we're past that now. On to better things. But yeah, I think it was probably a surprise to a lot of people that Morocco topped their group. I think less so to us. I mean, we said in our Olympics preview that they had a very good chance. I think you actually officially predicted it. I talked about why they shouldn't be slept on, and I mean they kind of proved us right. One of the most insane football games at any tournament I can remember against Argentina that lasted for like 4 hours because, I mean, just insane scenes. A good win for them at the end of it, but the whole situation there with the 15 minutes of stoppage time and then Argentina scoring and then the Morocco fans invading, getting suspended. The VAR took 2 hours to look at the goal and then it was eventually called back. Insanity. It's something you would expect from CONCACAF. So I guess they're already well versed in that, which is maybe not a good sign for us. I think in the other two games, they weren't as impressive necessarily. They did beat Iraq 3-0 on the final day, which is, it is what it is. I would equate that to our wins over New Zealand and Guinea, which were all comprehensive, but the opponent just isn't really at the highest of levels. So there's not much you can take away from it, but they got the job done. I mean, it was kind of like, Ukraine was in their group. I use the example of Ukraine's group in the Euros as well. Every team was on 3 points going into the final match day. Anything could have happened, and they got the job done emphatically. So credit to them. Topping the group, especially like that, is an incredible achievement. That being said, I think they did show some vulnerability, especially losing to Ukraine in the group stage, but I also think they proved a lot of people wrong because I think people they see Argentina in a football tournament and they assume, oh, they're going to be the favorite to win it, which normally is a valid take. But in the Olympics, it's a little bit different. And I think Morocco's a very good team, probably the toughest outside of France actually not easily the toughest outside of France that we're going to play so far, at least. Maybe it'll get tougher in the semis if we make it there, but I think we did well, or Morocco did well to get here. We know how we did. Horrible loss to France. Not horrible, but in terms of the result, we kind of capitulated at the end, and then 2 easy wins against inferior opponents. Pretty straightforward. We already talked about all 3 of those at length, so I think it's ready to move on, really.
Yeah, I will say I watched 2 of their games. I didn't watch the last one against Iraq, so I'll be honest. Hold my hands up. I don't know how they fielded out on that day, but I do think that there are some vulnerabilities. I think that they are very prone on their right side. Obviously, Hakimi, their most notorious player for the senior team as well, is there. And I think that at the back, I don't really think any of their center backs is as reliable as maybe some of their fans make it out to be. They're very, very noisy on social media. But now I think, like you said, we can equate that final win that they got like with ours. So both teams have been very, very efficient with what they've been asked to do. I predicted them to top because I couldn't think that madness would happen on the first game, but they ended up topping it. And ultimately, I think that it's if you had told me before you beat Morocco, you're in the semis, I would definitely take it. So heading on to this game now, who are the danger men? Obviously, there are some big names there, but in terms of how they play as well, who do you think are the guys that we need to watch out for and keep a close eye on?
Well, you did point out that defensively they're a little bit weak, and I think that's kind of the same story for us as well. I mean, if you look at the team that we have, a lot of the key names are in the attack and even in the midfield, and it's the same for them. You mentioned Achraf Hakimi, one of the best right backs in the world, probably the most marquee overage player at the entire tournament, bar none. He's a huge get, really helpful to have a player playing in Paris and living there. It's a lot easier to get club releases instead of some of our players playing all over the globe. But I think he's going to be a huge threat, and especially for John Tolkien, who has had a very good tournament so far, going up against Hakimi and probably Ez Abdi, the former La Masia product, who plays for Real Betis now with Johnny Cardoso, actually. I think he's going to have his hands completely full, and having Miles Robinson on that side, I think it's fair to say he's probably been our weakest player so far at the tournament, at least in terms of the ones that have meaningful minutes. You could point to maybe Kromaski, but he's only played like a couple minutes, so it's just a little unfair to maybe like give him the blame there. But for Miles, I mean, he's one of the key players in our team. As an overage guy, you're supposed to bring that experience. He hasn't done that as of yet, and him and Tolkien are going to have the biggest jobs of their life, I think. Even if you look at what Miles has done on the senior national team, I don't know if anyone he's faced has been as good as Abdi and Hakimi. And I mean, Hakimi, even he isn't the best defensively. His job mainly at right back is to attack, and he does a great job of that. Got an assist even against Iraq, and I think it could be a similar story. And then on the left side, they have weapons too. Elias Ben Seguir plays with Fuller and Balogun at Monaco. Keep an eye out for him this season. Only 19, such an exciting winger. And of course, they have Elias Akamak as well. Another, I think, La Masia product who now plays for Villarreal. They're just so many weapons for them. And what they did is what probably we should have done. They brought an overage striker, and he's actually scoring so many goals for them. 4 goals in 3 games in the group stage. He's been effective, unlike our striker options. We know Duncan Maguire hasn't really done anything. So they clearly have the right mold. And of course, you can't not mention Amir Richardson. We made a video about him a while ago before he ended up picking Morocco, because he is an American dual national, or I think multinational with France as well. His dad was a former NBA player, but he chose Morocco, and it looks like it could be the right decision. Even scored for them against Iraq, and he's going to be one of their key men in the midfield. So hopefully, I never wish injury on a player, and I'm not doing that now, but hopefully Tessman can give him a little bit of a Brexit tackle early on in the game, set the tone, let him know what he's missing out on, and I just hope we beat him, because it would be a really sweet victory to beat a dual national that snubbed us and really never even showed much interest.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because he has a bigger connection with the U.S. than a lot of the dual nationals we've seen even commit to us. So I'm a bit puzzled on why he chose. I'm sure he has his motives there, but I'm actually more concerned with his counterpart right there on the midfield, El Khanous. I think that's how you pronounce him. What a baller. I mean, I'll be honest, besides Hakimi, I think he's the silkiest player they have. What a baller he is, coming from the Belgian Pro League. But we have a baller coming from there as well, Griffin Yao. I think that Yao can really exploit them in this game, both him and Paredes. Obviously, the danger man, as you've pointed out, I think that Rahimi, their forward, is a really good player. Not that good of a player, but really experienced and knows how to use his body. Again, he's going to be going against a very experienced pairing right there with Zimmerman and Miles. I don't really trust Miles too much, but I'm clinging on to the hope that he can show up when it really matters, because this will be a marquee match for this group of players. He needs to step up. He's an overage guy. But the one I'm most concerned with, besides Hakimi, is El Khanous, because he also provides that versatility to bring the game to the left side, where I think they are significantly weaker. They tend to be playing more through the right, obviously, with the runs from the fullbacks. So I think that the biggest battle right there will be in midfield, and I hope that Buzio is back for this game, because I think that his work rate that he's been showing will be really good to bring up the volume in a game like this. So now we're going to go into the prediction, Braden, after all is said and done. And in the prediction, you can also let us know who you think will be filled out, not who you would like to see. Who do you think will be filled out for the U.S. as a starting 11? Who do you expect to see, if you want to walk through the entire first 11, or any changes that you think we might see in order to adapt to our opponent?
I don't think there's going to be much in terms of changes. Not like there was any in the group stage. The only two that happened were Yao coming in for Maguire, and then of course the forced change, Buzio coming out due to the injury, Dietz coming into the team, and then Atencio as an alternate, doing a decent job off the bench. So at least we do know that Atencio is capable of playing at this level. If Buzio can't go, the one thing I would be concerned about is the starting spot, because it probably would be Maxi Dietz again. He's just not a 6 is the thing. I mean, yeah, we know that's why he's there over Jalen Neal in particular, who was the other one who maybe had a consideration, because he can provide that positional versatility, but in reality, he's so much better as a center back. And even when he's at the 6, not to say he's bad there, but he also kind of limits Tessman, because Tessman as well, that's his preferred position. And when he's moved up to the 8, I think Dietz steals a lot of the spaces that Tessman would normally occupy and excel in. So you can add, of course, the chemistry that Busio and Tessman have at the club level for so many years. We need Busio back. And even I think a lot of people, myself included, have wanted to see Jack McGlynn have a bigger role. The reality is, against a midfield as talented as Morocco has, and especially the pace they have on the wings, we can't start someone like McGlynn. He's just not good enough defensively, although he's made so many good strides in that aspect of the game. He's just not at the level yet in that aspect. So I think that's the big concern. The rest of it, I expect to stay the same. It'll be the same fluid front 3, hopefully. No Maguire. Stick with Paxton, Yao, and Paredes, who all had such a good game. Paredes in particular against Guinea. So I'm optimistic in terms of our attack. I think we won't have any struggles to create chances or anything like that. Like we've been saying, their defense is pretty weak. So I think we will score multiple goals in this game. The problem is that I think Morocco will also score multiple goals in this game. I think Hakimi's going to get a goal contribution from right back. I think Azabdi could probably get one as well. I hope Richardson doesn't, but you mentioned Al-Khanous. I wanted to mention him as well. I just talked about so many other players. I think he's going to get on the score sheet. You mentioned Hakimi. He's coming off an incredible season for Al Ain, helping them win the AFC Champions League, scoring 13 goals in 13 games in that run, and excelling in the Saudi Pro League as well. I hate the Saudi Pro League and everything they're doing for the sport, but he's producing in a league that has a lot of better players now than they did in the past. So I think he's a big threat. He's going to get on the score sheet again. Ultimately, I'm going to go with a very exciting game, which is good. We don't want to see another boring one, kind of like it was against France, especially since we ended up losing that. But I'm going to go for 3-2 Morocco. I think Yao will finally get his goal for us at this tournament. And the other one, we'll say Georgie scores another set piece or something, or puts in a corner, and then one of the center backs heads it in. I just think that they have too much in attack for us. I don't trust Miles Robinson at all. Harriel's been good so far, but I still have questions on his ability at the highest level. Tolkien hasn't been tested against a good winger yet. Same for Walker, even though he's been good. And Schulte's been shaky at times. So I just think they have too much for us, unfortunately.
If they had a better back 4, I would agree with that. I'm going to go with a differing view right here. I'm going to go for a 2-1 US win. Could be a 3-1 even. I just don't think that their back 4 will really hold up. Even Hakimi, really, he'll be having some duties to go forward, and he would have to commit to that. If they shift to a back 3 when he's up and in the counter, we've seen our transition is very good. And with Paxton at the false 9, I trust him, Paxton, Yao, and Paredes to cook. And I honestly don't see Morocco winning this, especially since they will try to be on the front foot, I believe, because they will have the home advantage. Let's be honest. They will be overwhelmingly outnumbering the Americans in the stands. But I think this team that we have has the grit to overcome that. They have shown in the past that they can deal with that type of environment. And I really think that their game, even though they have so many good players, it kind of suits our best style as well, to be progressive on the transition and quick. I just hope that Dietz doesn't start, because that takes away one of the most integral parts in our team, which is Tessman at the 6. And I would actually hope that if Busio isn't playing, start McGlynn regardless, because we'll be contending most of the attacks. And I think that his long balls, compared to the slow back 3 that they have, even their left back, I think he's very suspect, even in the Belgian Pro League. Yao has cooked him before. So I think that we should have enough quality to win this game. I'm being very hopeful here, and I said it all summer long. It could be our summer silver lining. So hopefully that brings us to a semifinal. At that point, you're 2 matches away from a gold. You're basically guaranteed a medal. So hopefully, let us know, guys, in the comments below. What do you agree with? Obviously, a lot to look forward to. This will be, I think, one of the most exciting games of the summer, because we're going up against a good opponent. So let's see what happens there. And thank you so much. Let us know in the comments below your predictions. Share, like it, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.